Monitorless Wednesday. What is up, everybody, and welcome in to another pregame lounge brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, fellas. We're going to open up that app a little later in the show. Deb's going to make you some money, as he's wont to do these days. But first, introductions. No Adam Mars, as you might have noticed. This is a crazy story. He was following a bird and he got lost.
I was under the impression he was taken by a bird.
Yes, he.
Like a bird swooped down, like a large bird, a condor or something with a large wingspan.
That's right.
Swooped down and took our beloved Adam Mars. I have to say, like, without the monitor on, it feels like we're just talking.
Yeah, I have no idea if we're even live.
Are we doing this?
What's the difference at this point? It's our whole life. Next to D-line. By the way, nice coat. I did just kind of gloss right over that.
Listen, I put it on Twitter today, forcing the issue. It was too warm for this coat because the world is dying.
All right, good note to start on. That's D-line. That's kind of his thing. Next to D-line, looking dapper today, it's Superstar Dev.
I mean, thank you for that.
You're welcome, man.
And,
it's a nice color.
I also like the
hey, look at this, guys.
It's brown corduroy. It's like, we give out compliments when Adam is not here.
Yeah,
we just don't want him to hear about it.
I like to think that you just mentioning that it's brown corduroy counts as a compliment.
It does, yeah. Just an observation about the...
people don't usually see brown corduroy like
That's
that.
true.
That doesn't see that.
This
or like dark brown, at least.
This feels like it's veering into insult.
We have a jam-packed show today, fellas, so we'll keep it moving. Lots of housekeeping updates on the Nuggets roster. We'll get to that. Game notes, of course, and some old friends. The Nuggets in Orlando. Aaron Gordon back in Orlando. Gary Harris back in our lives. We'll talk about all of that. But first, some game notes. Michael Malone, to start off the pregame availability, was asked, how does he assess the season to this point? Typically, Malone has sort of talked about where they're at now as a benchmark for you can tell if this is a playoff team or not. Obviously, things are a little bit different this time around. So how does Malone evaluate the start so far? Quote, to be honest, I love where we're at. When you take into account everything we've been through, to be 10-10, and of course he mentioned all three max contract guys being out for some stretch, the longest stretch they've gone without Jokic, now some depth pieces being out. To be 10-10, by no means is he saying that he's satisfied, but he likes what he's seen from the team when he's gotten to see the team, fellas, which is, I think, in line with how most of us feel.
Yep, that follows pretty closely with the notion that we all understand that we are in purgatory.
That's right.
We're in the purgatory portion of the season. We think we're going to be released from it at some point, or we'll trend, or we'll just go right back down to hell. I don't know which.
Dev, do you sort of agree? Like when healthy, we have seen encouraging stuff from the Nuggets, right? You could start with the defense first and foremost.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of see them at I don't want to call it the peak, but you just get to see them at full strength, at least for this year, or what we know of them. And then also, there's just still that glimmer of hope of when Jamal returns.
Right.
If MPJ does come back this year. So just to have something going right and going well with the idea that it could possibly get better, that's just some positive.
Moving on, the Nuggets technically qualify for what's called a hardship exception. The gist, ladies and gentlemen, they could add a player to the roster on a 10-day contract now should the NBA approve it, which I assume they would. And they would not need to clear up a roster spot to do that. So naturally, a lot of questions, a lot of eyes now looking at the Grand Rapids Gold and the players they have in tow. Malone was asked about that as well directly. So this is on conversations about G League roster and potential call-ups given the injury concerns. Quote, yes, Tim and I spoke today and will continue those conversations. He went on to say, quote, when you're out so many smalls and wings, it's definitely a discussion that needs to be had. I know some people pointed out, well, they're actually down bigs. They don't even have a backup center. I think Malone highlighting smalls and wings says more about the Gold roster, and let's not dance around it, Nick Stauskas and Lance Stevenson.
Absolutely. I want them to get Jamal Crawford. He's better than those guys. But I just have to throw that out there. Lance Stevenson is those two guys do make sense, and they also are brought to that team for a reason. Just having those guys around and just having them under you as their feeder team or whatever the case may be it does make sense, and it alludes to who they would bring up. I don't even know who the center is on that squad.
Right,
So,
it's not like there's a plethora
so you
of
can't just
qualified bids.
grab a random guy, like most people are saying. Those two make sense, and it just kind of feels inevitable. It feels like Lance Stevenson was like just part of like this team. Like he was always gonna have to get a chance. So bringing him up wouldn't surprise me.
Our Harrison Wind reported that the Nuggets actually were considering signing Lance Stevenson before they went with Austin Rivers. So him being in Grand Rapids, not just necessarily like a ticket sale move. There is a relationship there between Lance and the team. So it does feel like we're trending towards a possible Lance Stevenson appearance. But I should probably stop there. No need to put words in Coach's mouth. You heard what he had to say. Obviously, Aaron Gordon back in Orlando. Whatever. Malone talked about Aaron Gordon today. He said, quote, "I love coaching Aaron. You can look at it from a purely basketball standpoint. When we traded for him at the deadline last year, we went 19-6 to close out the season with Aaron in the lineup." He talked about that Clippers game on April 1st. He talked about that one a lot. And that was a game in which they realized we had picked up a young man in Aaron Gordon who can help us on both ends of the floor. And we already had a legitimate chance to win a championship. So, or I'm sorry, I should say, and we had a legitimate chance to win a championship last year after that trade with Aaron in tow. He went on to say, quote, "I think, again, that this is the best Aaron Gordon has ever played." Ooh. Strong praise, D-Line. What do you think? I know you've been all over Aaron Gordon's career every second of it.
I was going to say, I don't think anybody can verify this. I don't think anybody's seen Aaron Gordon's entire career, so we're just going to have to take his word for it. It is so weird. Well, just going back quickly, though, isn't it feel like a strange treat, like a weird luxury that we have a G League team that we can
it's bizarre.
Like we can actually know of players that are theoretically available to us to come up to the Denver Nuggets when we're missing players. Although we keep missing players, we're not bringing anybody up. It seems like we're just...
They're going to get there eventually, right? I mean, so Marcus Howard will be a part of tonight's equation, you imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of the point, and that's what Malone... To be clear, Malone is saying that those are active conversations with Tim Connolly right now. They're planning on using this as an asset, and it's a new one, to your point.
Goddamn. Yeah, but it's Aaron Gordon. He's incredible. I mean, we've been on the AG train all year. We sort of were wondering maybe if everything wasn't 100% with him at the end of last year, even though, like Malone says, the team performed very well going down the stretch. It seemed like they sort of all ran out of gas, and Aaron Gordon was miscast for a certain portion of that season. But now, he's just looking more and more comfortable. He's looking more and more explosive. Every night it seems like he has some aerial attack, which we weren't seeing at the end of last season. So I'm not at all surprised that he's a Malone guy. He's a lunch paler,
Dev, we'll get your thoughts on AG a little later in the show because we are going to revisit that trade. We are in Orlando, or the Nuggets are in Orlando, I should say. But there is a super chat. Yeah, hold that thought, Dev. I know you're champing at the bit over there. We do have super producer.
Even though it is champing, can we just say chomping?
Chomping, I know.
Everybody, it's supposed to be champing, but what is champing?
That's a good point. Yeah, fine, chomping. Anyway, super producer Kale's on the mic, and we have a super chat to hit. Help us out, brother. Crumb?
From Jacob Crumb, let the AG air horns fly, Vogt. He's that good.
Whoa!
If you're going to pay me to air horn, I'm going to put my whole back into it. All right, well, plenty to talk about with AG, but first, some housekeeping, some updates about the Denver Nuggets and the roster, fellas. Not necessarily fun updates, though.
Man.
Austin Rivers.
You got a lot of sound effects.
I know. No monitor. I don't know if we even have the soundboard, so I'm just kind of doing it.
Yeah.
Are we even live?
What are we? Okay.
Austin Rivers tested positive, according to his father today, who confirmed that in a pregame availability. Obviously, Shams Charania tweeted that he has entered health and safety protocol. We now know, thanks to Doc Rivers, that Austin is COVID-19 positive. He was asymptomatic as of Tuesday, according to Doc, and now he feels terrible. This thing is real, Doc said. This tweet says Doc said referring to the virus. I'm like, yeah, I think I got that. What, his son?
Emotionally?
His son. All right. Anyway, I digress. So that is connected to the next bit of news. Bones Hyland entered health and safety protocol alongside Austin Rivers. But, and there's a but, Mike Singer of the Denver Post reporting Bones Hyland has not tested positive, per a league source. He is in health and safety protocols because of a close contact. Sounds like he's going to be stuck in Orlando for at least 7 days. Our Harrison Wynn chimes in. If Bones continues to test negative, he'll likely miss Denver's next 3 games. Tonight at Orlando, Saturday at the Knicks, and Monday in Chicago. That would be a 7-day quarantine. Again, Bones hasn't tested positive, so 2 negative tests, and at more negative tests, and across these 7 days, he should be cleared. All the same, Dev, this is a blow. They just got Bones back. He looked great, his best game to date, and now he's out.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially with the guard depth and just, you know, having a guy that just finally brought you that energy. You finally get that second unit back, and you get your team back, essentially. Jokic finally came back, and they finally looked good. And for it to take such a big blow, and now they're having to figure out what the second unit's going to look like. Now they have to figure out how to get him back in a flow. That was Bones. That was his best game of his career.
Yeah.
In the NBA, and for him to be out, and especially not to just only be out, but be out for close contact once again, and not be able to participate, not be able to play in any way, and have to quarantine. It's just such a huge blow to not only him but the team. Like, they really did, need that type of player. But also, Austin Rivers is now there, so now you have a starting unit where you're just, and even just the whole unit where you're just trying to figure out rotations. I think there's just going to be a lot of on-the-fly moves, and now you have to play like players like Marcus Howard.
Right.
He steps into that type of role where he's going to have to play meaningful minutes. It's a lot. It's a lot going on right now.
Eric, thankfully it's just Orlando tonight. I mean, can't write it in as a W, but at least it's not the Warriors.
I'm writing it as a W. I don't care.
But 3 games, I mean, this matters. It's not just for the Nuggets, but Bones, right, who just came back, just got a rhythm. And by the way, this is why, just on general terms, we spent a lot of time talking about vaccination status before this season started, and not just because it was annoying and we wanted to annoy everyone, but because these types of things are going to rear their heads throughout the season. Availability is the best ability, and that extends to this stuff as well. But Eric, how bummed are you? No Bones.
Let's see. My favorite player, soon to be my best friend, not playing tonight because of COVID restrictions. I'm pretty bummed, my guy. If I put this all together, I mean, luckily they're near the Magic Kingdom, the happiest place on earth. Maybe he can. Do you think he can hang out at the Grand Destino?
That's perfect. Oh yeah, just set up a little bubble for him.
Yeah, dude. Like, maybe
Bones go fishing.
Like, why not? Like, the NBA has a lot of experience with Disney World and COVID. So
yeah.
No, it sucks, dude. I mean, and the thing is that he himself posted that he doesn't have it. That, it's just a matter of it's just really a sign of the times where procedure and safety and all of these things have to be taken into account and have to be taken seriously because of, the state of the world.
Right.
And it's a bummer because he's not sick.
Right. Exactly. And by the way, not to attribute these particular cases to the dynamic I'm about to describe, but it also had me thinking, what another weird wrinkle to long road trips in the NBA.
Totally.
You also are dealing with are they going out? I mean, we saw Jokic and his brothers out in Miami, which they're allowed to do, of course, as a vaccinated player, but it all is just stuff that you would like to shove aside, but you end up holding your breath for. Dev, Marcus Howard, do you think we see him tonight? What about Bol? It is Orlando, and the injury and the unavailabilities are that drastic.
I say yes. I just feel like you don't want to wear guys out and burn them out, especially against Orlando. You're going to make sure that you use your entire rotation and not try to pick up too many extra minutes. You're also missing 2 rotational guys, two important pieces to the team in Bones, who's now picked up his, and then Austin Rivers, who's now been in the rotation for the last couple of games. So that leaves extra minutes out there for guys, and you've been playing Will Barton a ton. You don't want to overplay, Jokic for the entire game. So you're going to have to be creative on how you're coming up with lineups. You're also just got JaMychal Green back into.
Oh, that's a good note. That will help.
The second unit. And is he going to be playing himself back into the second unit? Is he just slotted into his same allotment of minutes? There's just too many things to just not think that you're not going to get at least a chance. So I do think we'll see more Facu. I do think that we're going to see Marcus Howard for just a little bit.
We have to see Marcus, right? I mean, think no Bones, no Rivers. You could at least there's Jermichael Green's back, Vlatko, Zeke. You can sort of maybe try to get a small forward or go big or something, but eventually you need Marcus Howard in there. So I think he gets a shot.
This is like the season's ridiculous. Like every night, it's just like you, it's a hodgepodge.
Roller coaster is like an understatement, man. It's just every day.
You don't want to know why? Because roller coasters are fun.
That's a good point. This is a little more like anxiety inducing.
This is like this is like the roller coaster, but you're like not sure anybody's working that day.
Is anyone on the machine?
Right.
Are we going a little faster than usual? All right, guys, old friends. RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, and a future.
Wait, is that me?
No, you're a current friend, bro.
Oh, I just meant old in age.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well then
you
definitely.
And
I thought
you are one of my older
but
friends.
to the friend part.
All right, so I don't know if anyone remembers, but the Denver Nuggets traded Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a future first-round pick for Aaron Gordon.
Oh, I knew it.
Let us revisit that trade a little bit. Fellas, Gary Harris in 2021-22, 16 games played. He is averaging 6.5 points per game. He is shooting 24% from three and just 39% from the field overall. He has been a non-factor on what to date is a 4-18 basketball team.
I feel like he probably is a pretty big factor.
RJ Hampton, well, that's a good point. 7.5 points per game. He is shooting 40% from deep, but he's not exactly blowing anyone away right now on a team where there should be some opportunity. So I'm just going to ask you guys to date to throw a letter grade on this Aaron Gordon trade. If you could go back, would you do it again?
A+.
Okay. That's that.
I knew it was an A+ the night that it happened. And I'm sure that the front office was like, hey, if that's what we got to do, you go do it every single time.
Right.
You know, like not only did they make sure that it happened, they went and, pretty much put him into the Nuggets for his whole, peak of his career. So that is something that they feel excited about. And not even like, it's easy to look at it now, like, with it already being done. But it made sense then. It makes sense now. It makes the Nuggets a better team. They got a better player. They got a better fit. Everything about Aaron Gordon just makes more sense, and it helps the team in their way. And that's not to make it a knock on RJ Hampton, who was an exciting player for the Nuggets that I really do feel like was part of their rotation or a part of their future. That is not to be a knock on Gary Harris, who has some really good and memorable moments with the Nuggets organization. But when you could go out and get a piece like Aaron Gordon for what they gave up, you make it happen. 10 out of 10.
Eric, you're our emotional pipeline
That's right.
to the fan base.
That's absolutely true.
That's one way of putting it. Do you miss Gary Harris actively? I mean, I'm sure when I ask you the question, you say yes, but actively throughout the course of a season.
This is tough because Gary Harris was not playing well for the Denver Nuggets either.
Right.
It was actually pretty surprising they were able to move him to get a player of Aaron Gordon's caliber, right? Like it was pretty remarkable. And this is sort of like one of these things where when something is in your universe and part of your world, like you'll stick up for it at all. You're just like, like that's our guy. Like, of course, Gary. And like now it's somebody else's problem. You're like,
it was fun. It was fun to have him here.
But I love Gary. Gary is,
yeah.
My God, the Garrison. We had so many.
The two OGs, Will Bart and Gary Harris.
He was Mr. Nugget, man.
The first planks of wood on this ship.
This was Mr. Nugget.
Yeah.
Right? So I dare not speak ill of Mr. Nugget, although I do believe that Mr. Nugget has been, he's transformed into Mr. Magic. I will talk as much as I want about Mr. Magic.
Two different guys. It is crazy to me. I mean, Gary Harris for a long time was the best defender, best point of attack defender on this team. But limited, right, because of size. And I'll just always remember that Western Conference Finals against the Lakers where there wasn't a spot to play Gary in the fourth because who would he even guard? And then that's the thing about to turn it into Aaron Gordon, who is great against wings but has been even better and point of attack against small guards. It's a versatility that I just think translates into playoff success. It's a total upgrade. But can't forget, I mean, when you think of the Jokic era Nuggets, I think a lot of people will still think of Gary Harris.
Of course,
I think
man.
a lot of people will.
I mean, that's just it, is that sports in general are multifaceted. There's a variety of ways to observe and to absorb sports. And one of them is to form relationships with these players that don't know who you are and frankly would be weirded out if you tried to talk to them. And so when, I don't know, like Gary's our guy. So it's sad to see that era end because that era represents just such a hopeful rebirth.
Right. It was there was a sweet spot right in there where forget title expectations and pressure.
It was just pure fun.
Oh, this is getting better. It's fun to be a Nuggets fan.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like this was the time when it was like okay to tell your friends to start watching the Nuggets again, and not feel like pure shame, just like some shame.
Right. It was like a low stakes endorsement.
Right. So like Gary represents that, the rebirth, and so it's sad, but we're clearly in a much better place as far as personnel is concerned.
So
and RJ,
it
the same
goes.
thing. Like RJ is just like RJ. Frankly, was kind of a throw-in. Like that was like one of
I mean, he's
TC's,
actually arguably the centerpiece of that trade.
Yeah, but he would throw in as far as the Nuggets
are concerned.
because
Sure.
not in the trade, but just on draft night. Like
Right.
the draft was Zeke Naji, and then TC did some TC stuff, and we somehow ended up with RJ Hampton, which was somebody none of us even really considered ending up on the team. Like we talked all season along, like he got some time on the floor, but every time he played, like I would always say, like I love this guy, but I don't know what he's good at.
Dev, really quick, if you could pluck either of those and borrow them tonight, Nuggets are shorthanded, would you take Gary or RJ?
As of right now?
As of right now, to help the Nuggets. Just like old school, like not enough people at the pickup game. Can we have a guy from your team?
Gary Harris, like he's just more of the Nuggets past. He's accomplished more with the team. Everyone seems to love him. Everybody loves to play around him. And I mean, his best basketball he's ever played has been with the Nuggets organization.
Right.
So, I mean, he's the guy. But RJ is playing better than him right now. But also, I mean, Gary Harris is now a starter. Maybe that changes the way that he's actually playing, especially with Suggs out tonight. I feel like this is going to be a pretty good game for him, like for his standards. So Gary Harris is my answer.
Okay, let's hit that super chat real quick, and then Deb will take us through tonight's bets on DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app.
Okay, from Denver Smuggets.
Ugh.
Last I heard,
Just kidding, Smug.
Nikola Jokic is playing tonight. Ergo, I'm stoked for tonight.
Let's go.
Strong agree. That's
really-
pretty much the
it's really
formula.
the
Flow chart. Is he playing?
Yes.
Yes. Are you happy? Yes.
Is he not? No, you will lose by 20. That's bad.
All right, you know what time it is. Everyone take out your DraftKings Sportsbook app. America's top-rated sportsbook app. And, Deb, please make me some money. I got holiday season coming. My girlfriend's birthday is Valentine's Day. Like, this is a rough 3-month stretch for me, so help me out.
Yeah, it's always the worst.
Yeah.
It's actually always the
That's
worst.
a big day. It's
And
a big day.
I'm glad that Adam wanted to come in when it was time to bet. He already has his 8-leg parlay. One of the quick things, we might as well just plug it in right now. Adam took the Munder bet for tonight. He's been talking about it.
I
He's
love
been saying
this.
that he's going to do
I
a
love
Munder.
this.
Tonight is the night that you could put that Munder bet in.
What are the odds? Do you? I don't know. Do you have that?
I
pulled
think
up
he
in
said
front
it
of
was plus 170.
you? Ooh. I mean, why not, man? Why
So
not?
I mean, if this is the night that you're gonna do it. Where you're gonna bring it in.
This night feels wonderful.
Oh, I
It's
like
wonderful. Also, the game, it does make sense. The game's over-under is 207
Right.
for the entire game.
Right.
If you're going to put a Munder bet in, today is the day for that.
That. Agreed.
So let's just start it out there. As far as, the line, Denver is in Orlando, and they're 7.5-point favorites. That is just wild. It just goes to show how good of a team the Nuggets are.
They're
And
giving 7.5 on the road.
on the road, and how bad of a team Orlando has right
Yeah.
now. It's not a fun team. Like it's just not. Isn't a, it's
They
not
seem
a fun
like they're fun guys.
yeah, like you could even argue about like who their best player is and things like that. And right now they don't have Suggs, and then they're also returning Anthony Edwards tonight. So I mean, I
Cole
think
Anthony.
there's guys for them to shoot with. We'll go over to the props. First off, do you guys like the 7.5 line?
I hate points. I don't like them.
I do-
They're too fickle.
but like Nuggets money line, I'm not looking at odds, but I do like the Nuggets to win tonight. But I just never.
I don't like it.
7.5. Nuggets don't typically close the door all the way shut by the end of
You
the
just never
third,
know,
you
man. They come in like it's just. I like that money line. I like that. I mean, the money line is the odds are terrible because of that 7.5. But I just do you like points? I've never known you to bet on points.
Yeah, I'm not betting on points, and I never will. Just unless they're given the Nuggets as underdogs, I take that every time. Last time it was a +3. Like I'm taking that.
Okay.
So just looking over at the numbers, Jokic, his numbers are higher than they usually are. I mean, it could say that he came back from his injury and he looks amazing still, or it could just show that they know that he's going to dominate tonight. 25.5 points is his line as far as just straight points.
Which 25.5?
25.5.
I'm gonna say over.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you want a chance to win, it has to go through your best player. He's the guy that can start. I'm just going to throw that out there because it's not my lock, but I do like it.
The question is, are they playing so well? Like last game where he only shoots like 11 times.
Yep. So the thing is that I love about it is they're so shorthanded that I feel like he has to play.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, they are shorthanded, and also you don't know, this Nuggets team is not that far and ahead away right now, especially with the roster that they have right now. Their bench unit is not great without Bones playing tonight. They do have to switch a few things up. So I do think this is a game that Jokic could get loose and be himself. So 25.5, I do like it. We always go to the points, rebounds, and assists when we go with Jokic. It's at 45.5, which is up 2 from their last game, but it's still, that is what it is. My lock is what I love.
Lock it in.
We need a soundboard for that one. Just like jail bars.
We already know what it is.
We do?
It's an Aaron Gordon returns game.
Would that just that he's playing?
No, he returns back to Orlando.
Okay.
He's already talked about how he's gave his everything.
Over 14.5 plus 100.
He's like, I've given them my everything. Now I'm going to give him my 30.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really do think that he's going to try to go off. I don't like the 14.5, even though I do think that he's going to try to score and they're going to attack. So I'm just going to ensure the bet. 22.5 is his points, rebounds, and assists.
Okay.
That's what he made himself as a guy that can do everything. He has been a guy that the Nuggets have ran through as of late, and I do think they're going to make sure that they provide. And we already know what type of giver Jokic is. Aaron Gordon just celebrated with him in Miami. So they have that bond. They have that friendship. So I do think that that's my lock today. 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists for him.
You guys know what my lock is?
What?
Facundo Campazzo rebounds 2.5. Take the over.
Dude, I might go the under. I think I might take the under on that.
No, you
plus
have to
100
take
for the over.
He's going to play more.
Dude, there is no less exciting bet than I wonder if this 5'6" guy won't get 3 rebounds.
Dude, that's all I watch.
That's
the
the
game
most
for.
passive.
I like to watch the game to see what small guy cannot
touch the ball. Yeah, I'm taking over on 2.5 rebounds. As Dev said, Michael Green is back tonight. As we said, who knows what the bench will look like? We do know that the starters is that same group. Uncle Jeff in, Jokic back. You know what that group looks like. So listen, all you got to do now is watch the game, enjoy the game, tweet at us during the game, and then meet us right back here after the game. I'm just going to call it now. No, I don't. I don't want to jinx it. But it'll be a lounge of some
We'll be in the winner's lounge.
It'll be a lounge.
Oh, my God.
All right, we'll see you.
Dev.
Enjoy the game.